Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. So the reason I didn't do a call on Tuesday was because on Friday we had already discussed. Well, first let me see what the new week open was. It was right here. All right, we had already discussed how at the moment of this potential scenario, we were technically bearish, and after the intraday target was met, there was a bullish reaction, a bullish transition, which enabled us to continue higher, which would have supported the swing bias, right? And it actually negated the potential bearish bias that we had potentially concluded. Excuse me, right? Pretty much after our Monday and Tuesday, we didn't really do much, so I didn't really see a point in making a call for that. But for the meantime, it really just seems like we're continuing higher. It doesn't seem like we are showing any type of sign of weakness, right? You could say, right, we already cleared liquidity. When we're going into our internal time frames, right, we have created a bearish reaction, right? But there isn't necessarily any type of bearish transition signaling any type of continuation to the downside. I mean, to the upside. I'm sorry, any reversals to the downside, right? Because as you can see, right, there's even a potential reaction which was negated, right? So potentially it's a variant of structural disruption, but as of now, we are still, assuming a bullish bias. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. There's no real reason to stop. I know last month, right, we had that very, very bearish closure, but right, the only way I'm gonna try to transition into a bearish perspective now is if we get some type of significant liquidity grab, whereas in this scenario it would be to clear this high and then clear this low, but I don't necessarily see that occurring anytime soon. I mean, that could obviously change next week. It could change next week. It just really depends on how we begin to react, because as you can see, even from now, from an H4 perspective, a type of swing perspective, we are getting some sort of reaction from a bearish POI. But yeah, as of now, I would more so like for our previous high to be cleared before I try to assume any type of reversal. For the meantime, let me zoom in here. Right, I would more than likely want this to be broken, right, and have a bearish transition internally, right, because for the meantime, I can only really assume, right, a bullish continuation. And with EURUSD, right, I don't recall exactly what we talked about last week, but it really just seems like we're potentially accumulating. I don't want to necessarily assume that just yet, right? When we're looking at a potential bullish POI, this is a 99% retracement. Not too confident in this bullish bias here, especially here, right? Like, you're 100% justified for trying to find buys within this region, because it is within a bullish POI of a bullish POI, and there is technically a sign of a bullish liquidity grab, which would be the sign of a bullish transition. Not to mention we're referring to H1, which would be minor, borderline, major intraday. So there is justified scenario within this region. But right, what I really want to show you guys here is this is much more significant to me than that potential accumulation. Why? Because this is a sign, right? Continuation BOS, right? Pullback continuation, target was met, right? After that, if we even dive internally of that, you can see, right, that the continuation BOS had occurred, and then we had internal liquidity grab / structural disruption. This is now then enabling us to conclude, right, that we had a bullish reaction, and then a bearish reaction signifying that we are still bearish. So this, in my opinion, is a failed attempt at a rally. So I don't necessarily see why this should continue higher, only unless that point is taken out. Oh, that's ugly, sorry. Only unless this is taken out, right? Because right now, if we're looking at this even from an M3, I'm sorry, right? This is the last time we got some sort of rally here. And from there, internally, we're seeing consistent lower lows, continuation BOS, solidifies the range. So realistically, I'm still looking for continuations to the downside. And that's mainly based on the failed transition here. So yeah, for the meantime, you took that short there. Perfect. I like that. Nice. Excuse me. Okay, why is this not? Okay. But yeah, for the meantime, I do see us still coming forth and potentially challenging these previous potential POIs, but I don't necessarily want to assume any type of bullish scenario here unless we get a justified bullish transition, just because our structure is still bearish. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll see what happens here, but for the meantime, I just don't see why this should continue higher unless we get that catalyst that I'm mentioning. With AUDUSD, we actually did get some type of a bigger pullback, right? We had already talked about the scenario before, but when we're looking at a major intraday swing perspective, we were already aiming for a previous low. This is, in my opinion, the clearest bearish scenario that was provided between AUDUSD and EURUSD. And the reason why I say that is because we already had the bearish transition last week, and this week all we did was continue. And now we are technically bouncing from, right, this 99% retracement POI, but the sustainability is, in my opinion, very, very low. Only because it would take a lot of effort in order to justify this to create a new high, especially when we're overall bearish, which that we've covered before. So for the meantime, right, I know we had our continuation BOS, but all this is doing is really just pointing out to us the solidification of the internal range, which could have been technically from here into here. So all we're doing now is judging the continuation. Okay, I don't know why that's right. So for the meantime, it's just harder to justify anything outside of the continuation. And these types of trades are, you know, if you can catch a bullish a bullish pullback into a bearish transition, that's where you have a really high probable scenario, just because you have a clear target. And let's say we're coming from potential POI 1, which would be here, 120 pips, or if we even come into a bit higher, potentially touching structure or something like that, you're already looking at 140 pips. And when we're looking at any type of R there, that is potentially a very profitable scenario. But yeah, for the meantime, we are still bearish on this, just as we're still bullish on DXY. So yeah, not really too much changing from last week. We just seems like we've gotten some sort of recovery, depending on how you look at it. So does anybody have any questions? How you guys doing? Did you guys read that post that I made yesterday? It's about the topic that we covered on last Zoom, which was last Friday, about the forgetting curve. Posted it just now. Let's see, community chat. cool. Let's see, what am I seeing? Cool. Was this London session? Just before New York open. Okay. Yeah, I see. I like, let me annotate here. So bullish transition, right? Only up until, actually, let me do a different color. Bullish transition. Here you could see the continuation BOS that we talked about, but that bearish bias is implemented after a liquidity grab. So technically, right, the structural invalidation would be there for the continuation, but you incorporated micro. So yeah, that's very nice. Very nice. But yeah, minor intraday, scalp, micro. Nice. Very nice. Nice, that's 21.92, just about 30 pips. 250 times 30, that's about 7.5 grand. Just a bit of mental math. Just around. Still holding close 80%. Nice. I'm assuming that's a funded account, right? Who are you using? FTMO. Nice. Awesome. I love it. Nice. Nice, but yeah, a very nice scenario. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, good post. Happens to everybody. Yes. It's just, there's so much information being consumed, especially, you know, here today. Like, let's think, most of us have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. What else? Those are pretty much the one. I only use Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. A lot of people have Snapchat. I only have Snapchat for my memories. And when you think about it, you're consuming so much information every day that within the hour you've forgotten everything that you've probably looked at for the past 2 hours. So it really just, you know, makes you realize how much of a waste of time it is. So as you can see with my following, that's why I really only follow people that are in my immediate daily life, or, you know, pages that I fuck with, like Visualize Value. You guys know I've been, you know, rocking with them for a couple months, probably over a year now, actually. Okay, so your issue is attention. Yeah, I will say my attention span is awful, and I've been actually wanting to read this one book. I'll show it to you right now. Maybe some of you guys have read this. Watch them, listen, and take notice of them. But if you want some type of book for that, look at this. I really want to get into this book. I heard it's really good. Because from the research that I've done into deep work and stuff like that, you can't really put more than, I believe it was 4 hours of focus into your stuff. After that, it becomes very unproductive, just statistically. I will say I haven't had that issue probably in a couple of years, bro. I'd say like maybe a year and a half. Hold on, let me catch up with the messages. Hold on. Yeah, my job as a lawyer to focus on trading, but still do some consulting on the side for steady income. Yeah, man, consulting is where it's at. High margins, low work. Anything consulting wise is definitely good money. Bro, uni is bad. I can't focus more on studying. What are your experiences on overtrading and giving away % of profits? Well, you always have to ask yourself, is the risk justified, or am I just trying to, you know, fetch some more R? So I haven't really had that issue with over the past couple of years. I don't even want to say years, maybe a year and a half. I would say I definitely undertrade. I won't trade more than 1-2 positions per day, like ever, right? And even with that, I probably won't even take more than like 3 positions a week, because realistically, what are we looking for? Like a 10-hour position. And that's the cool thing about models, and it's definitely raises a ton of questions in terms of how conservative you're wanting to be, how much risk are you willing to expose yourself to, how often are you gonna be trading on the charts, like, or looking at the charts, I'm sorry. So I would say if you're over trading, I'd say just really look at yourself, one, and ask yourself, how many hours am I putting into actual trading? How many hours am I putting into studying? How many hours am I putting into, you know, other, whatever it is that you do, girlfriend time, social time, other projects time. So just finding the balance with that. And especially because I'm super busy all the time, I can't be on the charts after like 12, you know what I mean? So it's why I wake up around 6, 7 to 12 is always when I'm doing all of this. And then after that, gym, I gotta worry about summer classes, gotta worry about other projects, gotta worry about, honestly, I don't really have much of a social life these days. Like, I really, ever since I quit smoking, I've really just, you know, just started to cut off a bunch of people. I don't necessarily see any type of value, because with most of the people that I would hang out with, it was just to do that. So my circle is really, really diminished. So my social life isn't really much of an issue, especially Monday through Friday. So gym, school, trading, projects, and self-development maybe here and there, you know? So I don't really have much time to add more time to the charts, you know what I mean? No, bro. No. I'm sure you can answer that question, Oswin. You can answer that question, bro. Yeah, I'm only taking 2 in the summer. That way I graduate in December, and I only take 2 classes in the fall. And it's only like a sophomore level business course and a real estate course that I'm taking. And then that's it. Fuck school. I'm never going back to school. Fuck that shit. Awesome. Yeah, fuck school. Honestly, unless you're going to become some type of, honestly, you don't even need school to get some type of certification license. Because like I said, consulting is where it's at. That's where a lot of where you pretty much make more money per job or per type of work that you do. Yeah, go ahead and send it. Like my friend, he hasn't even graduated from college, and he already has his HVAC, which is for refrigerators, AC, stuff like that, which is kind of semi-hard work, but it's really good money. And homie drives a fucking M3 competition modded out, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with how market conditions are coming into. Look at this. Look at this. Finally, this is going on. I easily see us. If we're actually finding a recession, this would easily be a target. Easily. Why? Because I'm trying to, if I'm looking at this, right, we're looking at 08 here, right? This is 08 crash. We're looking at previous low, right? Whiplash and then moon. So because this technically quote unquote bubble is so much bigger than it was before, I'm looking at previous structure point, I'm looking at dip, transition, whiplash. And if this is the case, this is the time, these are the 6 to 18 months where we just try to build as much cash flow as we can, right? Because what I've really been looking into is just finding assets that pay you. And don't ask me what kind of assets will pay you. I will not answer that. That's your job to research. But yeah, I see this definitely giving us another 50% before we start coming up. And just, you know, remember this day, June 17th. This is what makes sense to me. The whiplash. The whiplash. All right, let's see, go to your question. Okay, you're only sending me M15. Where's your swing? Since this area failed to give a bullish transition, took out the POI, is it safe to the entity to take the low? Yes. So we know, because this is my pair, right? I know that we are technically bearish. So I'm looking at a bullish transition, trying to look into a bearish conversion. So I know internally here, right, we are bearish, technically there, and then your scalp is internally here. So if this provides a reaction, right, then it's only until here where I can try to find a bearish continuation into here. And this is pretty much what I've been explaining with what I explained with AU, with that scenario where we got, you know, a pretty good pullback where we can realistically, you know, come up here or here to then take out the swing low, which is over here. It's a little more below over here, I'm sorry. But yeah, from that would be the same principle, except from a scalp minor intraday, which in comparison, the one that I'm referring to would be a major intraday swing, because I'm talking about over 100 pips here. But yeah, here, this scenario here to then take out the low is principally the same thing that I was explaining with this, to then take out the swing low, which is somewhere over here. But yeah, yeah, this swing low here that I'm talking about. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, this one first. But yeah, we're looking at over 100 pips there. And it really makes sense. I would love to see the inefficiency fill and then clear down, and that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I would my answer would be yes. Yeah, and that's the issue sometimes. If you wait, right, for example, let's say we're right looking at accumulation. If we wait for the full structural range to break, sometimes we won't get the full pullback. Why? Because this is already strong order flow and the transition has already occurred. So yeah, these for example, if you're looking at a swing bias or a major intraday bias, I'm sorry, if you're looking at a major intraday bias, you could look into the internal minor intraday structure and then find a scalp transition to then achieve that major intraday move, if that makes sense. Kind of like what I did with your example here, or what I did with I'm sorry, with this example, where we referred to our major intraday being bearish, minor intraday being bullish, and then we see the scalp conversion here, and then we see the micro there. So that would even be taking it to the next level there. Whereas if you're trying to be conservative only from the scalp perspective, whether you enter here or you enter here, you can only break even until there, so your invalidation is there. Right, so it really just depends on how far you want to go, but also the deeper you go does not necessarily mean you're always going to get that reaction, because sometimes you could see stuff like that where you don't see the transition and the moves unless you're looking at maybe 5-second time frame, but that can be pretty uncomfortable at times. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
So yeah, it just really depends on how far you're wanting to go. And also, it really just depends on also what kind of trades you're looking for. Because this is something I was thinking about too, with especially with the new people. I don't know if we have any new people in here. Yes, we do. We have some new people in here. Ideally, when you're quote unquote creating a model, it's ideal to start off as an intraday trader, maybe even a scalp, but I don't really have much experience just scalping like that. But I would say the intraday perspective is a great place to start because you practice patience, but you aren't forced to be too patient. By that I mean most of your scenarios would last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, and you're obviously getting good practice in, you're getting good reps in, because these scenarios happen at least 2 to 3 times a week, and you're looking at a 4 to 6 hour trade in terms of duration. So when you get those reps in over time, then you can start transitioning into, you know, those swing, those you know, higher frame trade scenarios. But yeah, that's some little advice for the new people. But yeah, does anybody have any more questions? Excuse me, and you look pretty good as well. Show it to me. Okay, you're on your phone, that's fine. Yeah, but does anybody have any more questions? So doing one-on-one calls, yeah, I do them all. Yeah, so here, let's pull that up just for the people that are wondering. Coaching. So let me change screen. I'll get to your question right now. 1 second. Right, so coaching is 45 a sesh. You need to be with, I mean, you need to have already completed the process section, just because I'm not going to teach you concepts. This is more so refinements for models. I feel like that's the most efficient way to go about one-on-one calls, and that way we don't even take up most of the hour most of the time. But yeah, if you guys want to do that, cool, let me know and we'll go from there. What do you mean, what are the formats? You bring the format. You have to figure out what you need, and then that's what we go from. I don't really mind whatever, you know, it is that you need, but just have it in a structured fashion so we could actually coherently look through everything and actually give some good feedback, you know. But yeah, don't just come in, you know, without any notes, without any questions and stuff like that, because then it would be kind of difficult to go from there. But yeah, just make sure you note things down that you need. Have a bunch of examples, questions about models, cool. But yeah. Yeah, and I think the price is pretty fair too. I see online there's a bunch of people that charge like 100, 150 a session. I'm like, damn. Yeah, man, just make sure you have your questions sorted out. But does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to talk about, cover, etc.? Yeah, man, it's good to have you back. But yeah, if nobody has any questions, you go ahead and end it off here. It's really good in fair price. More important to give us an edge. Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that it's a win-win. Because I'm not gonna do them for free. Like, let's be real here. And I already do a bunch of free stuff like the journals. I wouldn't consider the Discord free. I consider the Discord included. What else? I mean, I don't know, the journal reviews, the case studies that you guys submit on the weekends, those are pretty much free, and they probably will be free forever, or lifetime of the service. But yeah. Yeah, this is 100% bearish now for sure. These little short-term rallies will probably lead us to lower pricing. The only valid POI that I could even see is there. But fuck that, I'm not trying to catch this bottom. We already had order flow. I believe it was somewhere around here. We had order flow disruption. Oh, you can't see the chart. Sorry. Sorry. This is 100% bearish. Dang, hopefully I'm not getting sick. I feel like my voice sounds a little weird today. But yeah, you guys have can you check that out? It'd be the same thing. It'd be the same thing. Yeah, it'd be the same thing. Shh, imagine we get down here, that would be hilarious. Hopefully not COVID 2.0. I don't see a lockdown coming, bro. It wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't see anything like COVID coming back. I guess that's a question for the members, bro. I wouldn't necessarily be able to refer you on that one, because I don't necessarily know what you mean by refine. Wyckoff understanding, what exactly are you trying to refine? Because for the most part, I don't really use the schematics themselves. I use the principles, cause and effect, effort. No, I mean in terms of you losing your voice. Oh, hopefully not COVID. Nah, it's all good, bro. Nah, it's all good. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Like I said, I can only go off of what's happened before. And unfortunately, this doesn't even have the... There we go. Just like what we did last time, like I said, at the moment here. This is 08, right? You see the whiplash? The whiplash, you know, pretty much fuel liquidity and then we moon. That's kind of realistically what I would see here, just on a much bigger scale. The sweep. And this is where we're talking, you know, big money moves. Yeah, you could argue that. Yeah, I see that. Ink, how do you feel about concepts in these types of markets? S&P, DJI. Because for the most part, I don't see weekly stuff like being respected, but I do see internal order flow being respected. Yeah, that's kind of what I've seen. Like, for example, see, internal makes sense. This is confirmed SC, liquidity grab, you know. Same thing here, structure tap. Same thing. This looks like a higher time frame POI. You can see that too. So I think what I do notice about these markets, though, is that they respect structure rules very, very nicely. Because realistically, if you understand structure, you just trade premiums and discounts, you know, for continuations, and you see some, you know, pretty good win rates. That's just what I've seen, though. Yeah. Interesting. And you can see here structural disruption. So we're definitely still big time bearish. But yeah, let's go ahead and end it off here. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hopping on, and we'll see where we are on Tuesday.